Alright, so I'm mad excited to do this project because I usually make fun of these characters, right? I'm known for bullying Darth Maul and Wolverine, usually because of the fan bases. But when I was doing Sith Lords versus X-Men, I realized this is actually a beautiful matchup objectively, stylistically. I just think it's amazing and it's really fun. And so today I brought in a buddy of mine. He's been around a couple times on my channel. I've known him for a very long time, but he's done Wolverine videos on his channel previously, recently as well. So go check him out. But Captain Forrest is here, and he's going to be presenting Wolverine's side. I'm going to review and break down Darth Maul's side. It's going to be a super fun battle. If you like content like this, please hit the like button, subscribe, and if you want to become a member, I'm doing an 80% off sale on the membership. Just hit the comment section if you're interested and want to know more details, and I will hit you back. But anyways, let's begin. I'm going to go ahead and let Captain Forrest break down Wolverine, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Hey guys, it's Captain Forrest here. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about Wolverine. So I'm going to talk about what Wolverine has in terms of his adamantium claws and bones, and any other assets and feats that he's demonstrated. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. So Wolverine has been able to showcase with his adamantium claws to slice through the likes of Thor, Hulk and Gladiator. So his claws should easily be around the Herald tier ranges. These characters have Universal Plus, Low Multiversal Plus scaling. Very impressive. So his claws can damage these cosmic entities, these cosmic beings, these powerful characters. So Wolverine has a variety of speed scaling. So he has some FTL plus feats. For example, he's able to react to Cyclops' Optic Blast, which moves at the speed of light. He can also react to Gladiator and tag him, the same Gladiator who can travel through universes within moments. So there's some MFTL speed scaling right there. He also has an inaccessible feat where he was able to move inside the World Dome, where time itself is frozen, which is pretty impressive. And he also has another high-end speed feat, which is also immeasurable speed. He can tag Thor. Thor himself is able to tag the likes of Silver Surfer, and Silver Surfer can time travel with just his raw speed alone. Thor can also time travel with his raw speed alone. They've both been able to fight while time traveling, which is pretty impressive. So right there and there, you've got some nice speed scaling for Wolverine. So depending on how high you want to take it, you can get him to those ranges of speeds. So Wolverine's adamantium skeleton is indestructible and has allowed Wolverine to withstand attacks from the likes of Hulk and Thor. Hulk himself even admits that he can't break Wolverine's adamantium skeleton when he was punching Wolverine. This was also in the World War Hulk run, when Hulk pretty much put on his Gucci slippers and his Gucci bag and just pulled up to the X-Men when he was looking for Charles Xavier, because Charles Xavier had a hand in wanting to basically shoot Hulk into outer space, and that's when Wolverine and Hulk scrapped. Wolverine has also sliced and affected spirits before with his claws. I believe this was during his event when he went to Hell. He was fighting a bunch of these spiritual demons, and he was tanking these spiritual attacks and also slicing through these spirits, which is pretty impressive. Wolverine doesn't use this very much. He barely uses it, but he does have his heated claws, so he can make his adamantium claws basically turn hot and heated, so he can slice through his opponents. It just adds more potency to it, but I thought I'd just mention it. So moving on, Wolverine also has pretty much his healing factor. Wolverine is healed from serious injuries. Wolverine has taken crazy punishment, as well as healing from severe injuries, such as when Wolverine's heart was ripped out. Wolverine's sheer willpower allowed him to keep going while his heart was healing from such an injury. Namor himself has also stated that Wolverine has an indomitable will, which ties into how much punishment he takes. Even though his adamantium skeleton is indestructible, Wolverine still takes the pain. He still takes like the nasty trauma and shock from the attacks, and he's still able to get up, which is crazy. And another occasion, Wolverine survived and regenerated from having his whole body vaporized right down to his adamantium skeleton by a nuke. With just a small piece of his brain left, he was able to heal all back his vital organs and all back his body, which is pretty impressive. Wolverine is also very skilled. He is a master at all forms of martial arts. He has demonstrated this against the likes of Daredevil by putting him in a hold. He's tagged Captain America with a pressure point, which gave Captain America a hernia. Wolverine also has precognition and instinctive reaction. He's used precognition on a speedster and was able to use his instinctive reaction, which was stated that Wolverine was able to just move faster than he can think. I don't know how that's possible, but that's very impressive nonetheless. Wolverine also uses instinctive reaction and instincts a lot during his fights with telepaths. And another impressive thing with Wolverine is that he's one of the best trackers. He can easily track scents from cities to even countries away. Wolverine was able to track someone who had no scent by looking in areas that had no scent, and Wolverine can also smell your intentions, so he can tell if you have a killer intent or if you're jealous or just a certain type of vibe about you via your scent. Wolverine can also enter into his Berserker Rage, which is a virile state where Wolverine gives into his rage, which allows him to reach the peak of his power. Wolverine in his Berserker state fights on pure instincts. During his Berserker state, Wolverine gets a 10 times increase in terms of his stats, so it increases his AP and his speed, so it makes him a lot more dangerous in combat. Wolverine also fights well in his Berserker state. So Wolverine, while in his Berserker state, doesn't abandon his skill. Wolverine's main strategy is his Berserker state against Herald tier characters like Hulk and Thor. So Wolverine pretty much surrenders himself into his Berserker state and slashes and claws and tears through his opponents, and pretty much hopes for the best against these top tier characters. Wolverine can also fight for days while in his Berserker state too. Wolverine can also adapt in a fight and fight against those who can adapt, such as Captain America, who is able to break out of Skrull bonds and the prison, which was designed to adapt to Captain America, and Black Panther himself has complemented Captain America's adaptation in combat, and Wolverine has dealt with Captain America. Wolverine also destroyed wild sentinels that were also designed to adapt to and specifically kill mutants, which is pretty impressive. So moving on to Wolverine's resistances, he's got some decent resistances, which is pretty impressive. So Wolverine has been able to resist pressure points during combat. He's shaken off pressure point strikes. He's been fine, so he doesn't get immobilized by pressure points. Wolverine cannot be tracked by telepaths. Wolverine can also get around and resist telepaths and pretty much body them. He literally takes a hot steaming poop on telepaths. He's resisted Emma Frost's mind hacks and her telepathic commands, and Emma Frost is a high tier telepath. She's one of, like, at least in the top 5 of telepaths. She's really powerful. Wolverine has created mental defenses in his mind, like he has a mental Berserker Rage in his mind to attack telepaths, and when Emma Frost read Wolverine's mind, she threw up with how gruesome and disgusting his thoughts and memories were. And lastly, Wolverine was fighting a telepath, and Wolverine switched to instincts to prevent a telepath from reading his mind, and he negged the telepath with his claws. So Wolverine, against like any telepath, he just murders them. He just switches to instincts so that the telepaths can't predict what he's doing, and he just runs up and just murks them, which is pretty impressive. Wolverine has resisted alteration diseases and attacks on a DNA level. Wolverine can withstand cold environments that would freeze you in seconds. Wolverine also resisted death spores, which were negging his teammates. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Wolverine, so I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic over to Splash.
Born destined for hatred and violence, Darth Maul grew up a young Zabrak male on the planet of Dathomir. Raised by the famous Night Sisters and Mother Talzin, young Maul was soon handed over to Lord Sidious, a present during tension times between Talzin and Sidious. Maul, being Zabrakian, has better physiology than humans naturally do. He was brought in to be trained as a Sith assassin. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing to be special, just a blunt instrument of destruction and violence. While initially raised as a weapon of the Sith and nothing more than that, this brutal regimen arguably provided more power for Maul in the long haul. In place of a reliance upon the Force, Maul was trained to rely upon his own toughness, physical gifts, and skills. Eventually, however, his power in the Force was too much to be denied. Lord Sidious was no fool, and seeing potential in the young Zabrak, he began properly instructing young Maul in the ways of the Sith. He was preparing the Zabrak for perhaps the most iconic start to beef in galactic history. The career of Darth Maul is a tragic one, in my opinion. After slaying famed Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn, Maul fell to his Padawan, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Getting sliced in half, Maul plunged to his death in a trash heap. However, his hate and deep-rooted power in the Force allowed Maul to will himself to live. He used the Force to attach scraps for his legs. Later, he got proper, lethal, spider-like leg implants. Maul, abandoned after the L to Kenobi, would go on to be a true menace for the galaxy. He would slay Jedi and even allies to the Sith. His path was twisted and even led to the death of his beloved family, Savage Opress, aka the most wasted character in Star Wars. Eventually, this infamous Zabrak was finally brought down in a final clash with Kenobi, who was now a weathered Jedi Master. Maul truly was a menace to the stars, a real Sith warrior at his best. In terms of strength, Maul was already superior to most common races for physicality. The Zabraks also have 2 hearts, which boosts output. Maul can casually one-shot humans and aliens with single strikes, and when he got his new cybernetic legs, he was strong enough to even one-shot Wookiees. Wookiees, like Chewbacca, can hold up collapsing mine shafts and can tank slams that leave massive craters like a bomb was just dropped, yet he could one-shot with his legs. Maul was also strong enough to tackle and physically brawl with General Grievous. Grievous's armor can tank starship blasts and regular force attacks. Maul had no issue charging and ragdolling him with a shoulder strike. Maul showed consistently he was one of the most physically gifted of his era, an era which characters like Anakin have strikes that are likened to meteors. Maul also showed he was a master of maximizing his power and his strength. I would attribute this to his intense physical upbringing. Maul displayed this refined grappling when he manhandled Savage Opress. Savage was so physically imposing, he absolutely walked down Kenobi and Skywalker while pissed off, and he was knocking them around with his strikes. When Maul met his brother in a clash, he straight up bullied him. Speed. Maul was one of the quickest fighters of his era. Honing his skills since a young age, Maul combined physical dominance, skill, and power in the Force to amp his speed to his best possible point. This showed where, even as a young, unseasoned Sith apprentice, Maul was able to steadily hang with, and in their second duel, even overwhelm Qui-Gon Jinn. Physically overwhelming Jinn is no small feat. Jinn grew up under the eye and training of Count Dooku, one of the fastest and most feared duelists in the verse. Qui-Gon himself was stated to be a blade prodigy, and he practiced a speed-based style called Ataru for decades. He knows how to handle speed. Still, young Maul was too much for the master. Maul is usually too much for many, as he blends speed with skill. Maul arguably only got faster after his first appearance, despite losing his damn legs. Not many cripples get faster, but Maul did. He was able to combat Mace Windu and his apprentice at the same time. This was at a time when Maul was actually already a bit worn down, and still, he was able to keep up with them and even land a hit on Aayla Secura. Said Jedi can blatantly block Sith lightning, yet Maul is way faster and strikes regularly. Oftentimes, we see Maul use his speed to gauge his foes. He will dart in and out, analyzing reactions and styles. With his training being Assassin, then Sith Warrior second, the quick, blinding hits are no shocker. Maul's style is blended to make him a speed demon of a melee fighter. He gets in, picks you apart, or straight up wears you down with blinding combinations. Now, obviously, even younglings who Maul one-shots casually, shout out to the Anakin memes, but they can react to light speed at that point, right? They're relative at least, and on top of this, him being massively above light, given he's hundreds of times faster than them, he's able to fight characters who can travel in Mortis, which is inaccessible bare minimum given it's beyond time and space, the human physical time and space. So given that, he can measure high tier like Wolverine would if you wanted to go there. I think it's more fun to go consistent for both, but just to address that, because, you know, Wolverine does have high ends as well. There are some high ends for Maul, but I would keep him FTL plus to MFTL safely. Durability. Maul is, simply put, one of the hardest characters to put down among his peers. Maul has inherent physical advantages as a Zabrak, but his own mental fortitude and fighting spirit, mixed with the Force, takes it a step further. Since he was a kid, Maul has endured insanity for training. He has hunted and brawled with the scariest creatures in the galaxy. His ability to hunt, fight, and repeat seems tireless, as he did so day in and day out to prepare for the upcoming fall of the Republic. His toughness was tested to the point that Maul was subjected to outright torture by Darth Sidious. Such harsh treatment helped breed his resiliency. Maul can push through pain and even use it to make himself stronger via the Force. Of course, and perhaps most famously, Maul can endure insane injuries. He proved this at a young age when he tanked getting cut cleanly in two at the waist. Maul went on to patch himself up after this just through raw power and Force Rage and insane dark side connection. Essentially, if it's not a blatant killing blow, Maul is likely refusing to go down. He does not know how to give in. Now let's touch up on intelligence and skill. Majority of the time, it seems like Jedi and Sith mostly get their skills scaling based off fighting each other. Maul has a more diverse skill resume than most of his era. On top of his assassin and Sith training, Maul defeated and bested Pre Vizsla in a skill-based duel. This is very impressive because Vizsla at the time was the big dog of the Mandalorians. Mandalorians are the top tier skilled fighters of the verse. Even among this group, Maul shined. Before addressing his lightsaber skills, let's discuss further his hand-to-hand combat. Maul learned Teräs Käsi and mastered it fully. This style is designed for non-Force users to fight fairly against Force users. Essentially, this skill set and martial art is made to combat precognition and fighters who basically have Ultra Instinct. That's what it is. They can dodge you ahead of time. Maul combines this with his actual Force use turning him into a weapon literally forged to murder Jedi perfectly. He's skilled in the arts needed to bypass Jedi and those type of hacks that accompany the Force. Now, let's talk about lightsaber combat. Maul is a prodigy. In order to engage in Form 7 Juyo, the form most Sith use, one must first master, to some degree, the first 6 styles. The first 6 styles of lightsaber combat serve to round out a very dangerous skill set. Juyo, the 7th, is a furious, pinpoint accurate style that overwhelms and annihilates. This style suits Maul perfectly, given his physical attributes and force usage. Such a well-rounded dueling skill tree has allowed Maul to survive even the most dangerous of foes in the dueling arena of his verse. He even sauced on Magna Guards, who can 1v1 Jedi Masters. Whether he's dual-wielding, using one blade, or a saber staff, Maul is a nightmare up close in combat. Hacks, ability, and gear. Maul is a powerful Force user, albeit limited in versatility given he did not have an insane amount of time and nuanced Force training. Still, he is a beast when it comes to Force augmentation. The Force allows Maul to massively physically amp himself during combat or missions. This can make him a scary change-of-pace fighter. Maul can also use the Force and his emotions to access new levels of power. Usually this comes in the form of rage. With Force Rage, Maul can overcome what would normally fold him. This includes hacks like lightning. This improved resiliency and power via rage is great because Maul's usually always pissed, so he's always going to have access. To deny Maul he has innate raw power is honestly to deny the truth. Maul pulled off what only high-tier Force users can do in what was essentially manipulating himself and scraps on a molecular level through pure Force rage and power. He also can use push, crush, choke, and telekinesis. He can also use some mind manip, but he isn't well known for it. Maul also specialized in sneaking arts and techniques, though that won't be major for this battle. For gear, Maul will be bringing 2 different blades. I will be allowing him his saber staff. This weapon allows Maul to attack with a dual-ended lightsaber staff. These blades in Legends are generated from your raw connection to the Force. They cut through all types of metals and substances, but can be stopped. Maul will also have his dark blade he acquired upon defeating Pre Vizsla. I would also consider his horns on his head and his cybernetic legs to be weapons as well. Overall, Maul is a lethal combatant and one of the best in Star Wars when on his A game. Okay, so how do I think this fight will play out after what Forrest presented, what I know about Wolverine, what I know about Maul, what I presented about Maul, all that good stuff. I love how this fight would play out stylistically because it would be an up-close, just horrific Sabretooth versus Wolverine-esque battle in which they just clash. And initially, I 100% believe Maul's going to take the early advantage in the fight because Maul's fighting style with Teräs Käsi is specifically designed to fight characters like Wolverine who rely on instinct and precognition and like basically sensing where the opponent's going to come / using natural movement and not thinking. So all that stuff he's prepared for, as well as the use of the Force, and his skill as well at least somewhat rivals Wolverine, allows him to compete. And I believe this will allow him to take the early edge and cut up Wolverine and hurt him. But this is going to piss off Wolverine. And as they continue to fight, I believe Wolverine's going to pressure him. And Maul's not going to have the ability to really create separation against a berserking Wolverine. He's going to be able to damage him, yes. Maybe once or twice he'll create some separation, but not enough to figure out how to permanently put him down, because ultimately, whereas just like Hulk and Thor kind of fail to get through his adamantium and destroy it, so will the lightsaber, especially since the lightsaber can't even, like, it struggles cutting through Beskar armor and stuff like that. So with that in mind, it's not cutting through adamantium. I don't see him putting down Wolverine, at least not faster or more likely than a raging Wolverine putting him down mid to high diff. In the end, I give it to Wolverine. This is a great matchup. I think it'd be amazing to see play out. And if you guys like these kind of battles, make sure to hit the like button. Check out Captain Forrest's channel and go subscribe to him as well. Make sure your notification bell is on. Anyways, it's been your boy YFV, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.